Geronimo! Oh. Who is this man?
That's what I'd like to know. You're not.
I am.
I seem to have misplaced my screwdriver. Regeneration. It's a lottery.
Oh, he's funny. Funny, funny, funny. Hello, ladies.
Oh, don't start.
Hi. Watch it, Saigon me. Watch it, human me. Oh shit.
Let's kill something.
Dressed appropriately for the occasion, but there seems to be something missing. Hang on. Ah, there we go. I always dress for the occasion. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to this very special review of Doctor Who, The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. And as it's November the 23rd, at the time of this video going out, hopefully, and as it's Matt Smith month, I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about my personal favourite story of all time, the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor. So, The Day of the Doctor. Where to start? Okay, let's start with the plot. The plot sees the 11th Doctor and Clara Oswald picked up in the TARDIS following Clara somehow being a schoolteacher. Yeah, around this time they decided Clara's to be a schoolteacher. They wanted to get that Coal Hill appearance in this episode. And then in Series 8, they just decided she was a teacher now, working at Coal Hill. Anyway, after Clara's finished working at Coal Hill, she meets up with the Doctor in the TARDIS, but then the TARDIS is picked up by UNIT and sent to the National Gallery, where they have discovered a painting called No More, also known as Gallifrey Falls, which serves as credentials from Queen Elizabeth I, who has made the Doctor the curator of the Undergallery, and things seem to have gotten out from the Undergallery. It turns out that there are these characters in the painting, in landscape paintings, but there seem to be figures, and they seem to have gotten out. Around the time that we see the painting, the Doctor reflects on the War Doctor, who he and Clara saw in The Name of the Doctor, in that epic cliffhanger, and he recollects on the last day of the Time War, which the painting depicts on the Gallifreyan city Arcadia, which was mentioned in Doomsday, and we see the War Doctor taking on some Daleks during the Time War before taking the moment and deciding whether to use it or not, which would end the Time War but also destroy the Gallifrey and Skaro and the Time Lords and the Daleks. However, the moment is conscious. It has a conscious inside, and it takes the form of future companion Rose Tyler, rather bad wolf persona of Rose Tyler, and tries to show the War Doctor his future. Meanwhile, the 10th Doctor is having a picnic with Queen Elizabeth I, and he's hunting Zygons, initially believing he's with a Zygon pretending to be Elizabeth. It turns out their horse was the Zygon. It is a bit disappointing it wasn't after the horse from the girl in the fireplace, but never mind. Anyway, the Zygon then takes on the form of Elizabeth, and the two then confuse the Doctor. It doesn't help that they soon start talking exactly the same, not just the same voice, but the same tone of voice. Like Elizabeth initially is kind of a bit scared, and then the other one turns up, and then they both start talking more confidently, soon confusing the Doctor. Then the moment opens time windows up on the Doctor's life. The War 10th and 11th Doctors at those specific times for them all to meet up. The 11th Doctor soon meets up with the 10th Doctor, and then following the two Elizabeths splitting, they then meet up with the War Doctor, who joins them. Before moving on, I'd just like to say David Tennant and Matt Smith's chemistry here is probably the best two-Doctor chemistries, two-actor chemistries of any Doctor I've seen, with the possible exception of Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee. But that was more of the bickering side, while these two are more on the actual working together side. So it is kind of a toss-up between Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, and David Tennant and Matt Smith. And I think John Hurt is magnificent as the War Doctor. He captures the character brilliantly. He is absolutely perfect casting. Fun fact, Matt on this channel suggested that perhaps they should have had Richard E. Grant as the secret incarnation of the Doctor, and that would have tied into Schalke from Scream to Schalke, as well as Series 7 with the Great Intelligence taking the form of Dr. Simeon, and then going into the Doctor's timeline, and then one of the Doctor's incarnations would have been Richard E. Grant's. This would have been the secret Doctor who would have fought in the Time War, perhaps, and then would be the Doctor from Scream to Schalke. That was a good idea by Matt. That was a good theory. And that is slightly disappointing they didn't do that. But on the plus side, we got Sir John Hurt as the War Doctor, and he is absolutely fantastic. Masterful. Anyway, back to the story. One of the Elizabeths turns up and has the Doctor sent to the Tower of London by request of the 11th Doctor, so that he can write an activation code for Captain Jack Harkness's Vortex Manipulator, which somehow was donated to UNIT on one of his deaths. I guess he doesn't have it anymore. But then again, his appearance in Fugitive of the Jadoon is apparently further into his future, perhaps? Or possibly could be into his future. At earliest, the 2019-20 appearance, he might have gotten it back. Clara then takes the Vortex Manipulator to rescue the Doctors. As it turns out, the Zygons have infiltrated UNIT and taken the form of the UNIT leaders, Kate Stewart, Osgood, and I believe it's a guy called McClimmon? Yeah. Not McCrimmon. McGillen, that's it. With the real human versions of them coming to confront them, and them then being in a battle between the two sides to activate a bomb to destroy London. Meanwhile, the Doctors and Clara meet up with Elizabeth, who turns out to be the real Elizabeth, pretending to be the Zygon commander and showing the Doctor their plan. And it turns out they're using stasis cube things, which is Gallifreyan technology, to put themselves into paintings, 3D paintings, and then they stay in the undergallery for a couple of centuries before the Earth is more how they like it. So then by 2013, they will pop out of the paintings. The 10th Doctor then marries Elizabeth first, and then the three Doctors and Clara set off to stop the Zygons. Unable to get into the Black Archive as it's TARDIS proof, they then use the stasis cubes to go into the Gallifrey Falls painting, which has been moved to the Black Archive on request of the Doctor. The 11th Doctor to be precise, and the three Doctors and Clara then make sure the bomb is not set off by the Zygons and the humans, and they get them to form a treaty for the two species. And the best way for the best negotiations to happen is for everyone to not know what side they're on. Or do they, as Osgoods, the two Osgoods seem to know, well, one of the Osgoods seems to know that they're a Zygon, perhaps, and the other is human, which does set up events for Series 9 later on down the line. The War Doctor then realises he has seen everything he needs to see, and then goes back to try and start activate the moment. But then the other Doctors turn up to join him, as they feel like he shouldn't be alone in it. Before then realising there is another way. They then use the stasis cubes to then try and freeze Gallifrey and put it in a pocket universe. And then we get one of my favourite scenes of all time, which is the Saving Gallifrey scene, where all three Doctors then come to save Gallifrey by putting it into the stasis cube and putting it in a pocket universe. But of course, the calculations would take hundreds and hundreds of years. And this is the best bit. This is when all 13 Doctors from William Hartnell through to Peter Capaldi then turn up, as the first through to the 8th and 9th Doctors also turn up to help. It's also fantastic that we get, whilst all of them are shown in the blue blue circle pictures on Gallifrey High Command, but along with the War 10th and 11th Doctors, we also get who are in full colour shots We also get one of those of the Ninth Doctor, as well as also a quick cameo of the 12th Doctor's eyes. Woo! This was amazing. When I first saw this, I was apparently, I can't quite remember, but according to my mum, I was grinning. Such an amazing scene, so good. And in the end, sees the War Doctor accept himself as the Doctor before going off to regenerate into the Ninth Doctor, and then the 10th Doctor heading off back into the universe, with the 11th Doctor then staying behind to look at the painting before meeting up with the Curator. And this was another brilliant bit where Tom Baker returned to play the Curator. We don't quite know who the Curator is. It's implied to be a future Doctor somewhere later down the line, revisiting the fate of his of the 4th Doctor, but we're not entirely sure yet. But he seems to be someone who knows more than they're talking about, and a brilliant performance by Tom Baker here, and it's a brilliant scene. We then have a scene which I believe, after rewatching the story recently, could be a dream sequence for the Doctor, as he's talking about dreaming, and it's unlikely this is a actual scene. What's going on? The 12 of the 13 Doctors seeing standing below Gallifrey, looking up at it. I don't think that actually took place, because there's the whole looking for Gallifrey thing in the 12th Doctor's era, and the whole thing in the time of the Doctor, with the Doctor trying to stop the we're not letting the Time Lords out of their pocket universe so that he wouldn't start the Time War up again. So I believe this scene is a dream, possibly, but what a final scene. Absolutely amazing. This is an amazing story. I've already mentioned John Hurt, and David Tennant slips back into the role absolutely brilliantly. And as for Matt Smith, well, nobody does it better. Jenna Coleman also does well as Clara, but unfortunately Clara Oswald herself, despite following on from the Impossible Girl storyline, and now maybe we can get a bit more personality from the character, I don't think we're quite there yet. I think she's better than some of the later stories from Series 7 Part 2, but I don't think Clara as a character has been that brilliant since The Rings of Akaten. Although this is a step up to perhaps stories between then and Name of the Doctor. Billie Piper is also brilliant as the Bad Wolf Rose Tyler, and it was a great idea to do the Bad Wolf. At first, it does look like it is Rose Tyler's kind of messing around with the Doctor and being a bit silly, but then it's revealed it's the Bad Wolf, and maybe that was just the Bad Wolf trying to break the ice to begin with before getting dead serious within a moment later on. Also got some great supporting cast with Gemma Redgrave returning as Kate Stewart, Ingrid Oliver as Osgood, who's going to play a more important role later down the line in some stories, and Ken Bones as the General, who is a great supporting character as well, and great supporting actor in the story. Along also Joanna Page, she's great as Elizabeth I and the Zygon Elizabeth I. And of course, we also have Nicholas Briggs doing an outstanding performance as the voice of the Daleks and the Zygons. Just marvellous as per usual. He is the god of all Dalek voices. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nicholas Briggs is the god of all Dalek voices. Worship him! Worship him! Worship him! The visuals look stunning, especially the 3D paintings. They look so good. This story was originally shown in cinemas in 3D, and it's magnificent. They take advantage of the 3D situation marvelously, and even in 2D, they look absolutely amazing. There is a few kind of editing niggles I'm not so keen on, but I'll overlook those. But the cinematography is amazing, and Nick Curran, who this is his 5th episode directing, following Series 6's The Girl Who Waited and The God Complex, and Series 7's Asylum of the Daleks and The Angels Take Manhattan. And whilst my opinion on each of those stories varies, Girl Who Waited is amazing. God Complex is also brilliant. Asylum of the Daleks is insultingly bad, especially when considering the storylines for Amy and Rory. And Angels Take Manhattan is okay, but again, Amy and Rory kind of get shortchanged at the very end. In fact, Rory may be more up throughout the story. And then The Day of the Doctor, my personal favourite story of all time. But for all 5 stories, Nick Curran does a fantastic job with the direction, and the visual execution of those stories is brilliant. It's just a shame not all of them have the best of scripts. I'm looking at you, Asylum of the Daleks. You're in detention for the rest of the year for your crimes against character and story. And despite only having 3 Doctors in it, and I know we could have had even more. We could even have the Night of the Doctors, the pre-title scene of the story, and featured the 8th Doctor in a more prominent role. But despite that, I still think the 3 Doctors we get in the main bulk of the story do a fantastic job. It would have been nice if Chris Braxton agreed to do the story as well, and maybe we could have had 4 Doctors together, or 5 Doctors even if we had the 8th Doctor too. But alas, that wouldn't be the case. But still, the 3 Doctors we got were absolutely amazing, and even more so when all of the other Doctors came together. Yes, in archive footage, and we didn't get new scenes, but still. At least Tom Baker got to cameo as the curator, and if the 5-ish Doctors reboot is to be released, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy did cameo in the special, but underneath some sheets. They might not have actually been in the final episode, the bits that they were under the sheets for, but it would have been nice if they were. And between possibly doing that and doing the 5-ish Doctors reboot itself, all of the Doctor actors have contributed to the 50th anniversary in some way, apart from Chris Braxton and William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, and John Pertwee, outside of archive footage. But at least all of the other Doctors have contributed to the 50th anniversary in some way, whether that's this special, The Night of the Doctor, the 5-ish Doctors reboot, or maybe contributions elsewhere, like Colin Baker narrated this episode's behind the scenes extra, for instance. So, yeah, this has been a marvellous 50th anniversary. This has been a spectacular episode, and what a present for the 50th. If the 60th anniversary in 3 years' time is even half as good as this, or half as good as the 3 Doctors, or half as good as the 5 Doctors, or half as good as Scream the Shouker, or at least twice as good as Dimensions in Time, then we'll be very, very, very happy when the 60th anniversary special rolls around in 3 years' time. But to wrap up this review, I will be giving The Day of the Doctor a 10 out of 10. This is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it. Loved every single epic moment of it. Yeah, there are a few niggles and a few nitpicks, and maybe kind of a couple of plot holes there and there, but I'll overlook those. They're more niggles, but everything else just absolutely outstanding. Love it. This is such a fantastic story. And before we wrap up this review, I would just like to toast Sir John Hurt and to say thank you for being the War Doctor. You were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you. So thank you for watching this review of The Day of the Doctor. And I shall see you guys next time when I talk about the 11th Doctor's final story, which would come just over a month later, The Time of the Doctor. I would press this button, but this Sonic's out of juice. Give me a second. Here we go. We'll use this Sonic to close up this review, as it is the War Doctor Sonic Screwdriver. So I'll see you guys next time for The Time of the Doctor. Goodbye.